Hi, everybody. It's Marjorie Waldo with Culture Under Fire, making a case for the arts. Today's episode is titled Preserving the Past and Facing the Present. How do cultural institutions move forward when the landscape is always shifting? In this episode of Culture Under Fire, I am joined by Charlene Farrington, Executive Director of the Spady Cultural Heritage Museum, for a continuation of our conversation on storytelling and preservation. This time, the discussion turns to the role of arts and culture organizations and museums in their communities and how they continue their work and achieve their missions. Charlene, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm glad to see you again. It's always lovely. I actually got to see you Saturday too. We'll talk about that, I hope. But let me brag about you a little.
Okay.
I gave you Charlene's background and bio in her first episode, and if you haven't watched it, you should go back and take a listen. But she's been involved with the Spady Cultural Heritage Museum here in Delray Beach, currently the only Black History museum in Palm Beach County, although I believe Riviera Beach is building one currently.
West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach is building one currently. And she's been involved there since 2001 when her mother was still the director of the organization. And you took over the executive director role in 2012.
Correct.
Yeah. So Charlene produces amazing events like the Juneteenth event I went to this past Saturday and the annual Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast. Your Juneteenth events focus on traditions, creativity, resilience, storytelling, and community building through
Absolutely.
the African diaspora.
Yes. All the things that we couldn't do when we were enslaved, now that we are free, we can do all those things together as a nation. Yes.
I love it. And the Martin Luther King Jr. brunch is the longest running celebration of Dr. King.
In Delray.
In Delray Beach, 25 years or something, right?
Yes.
All right. So the Spady programs serve the South Florida region and include programs for youth. Charlene's team has successfully reached its $100,000 goal for the House Still Stands fundraising campaign. Got that in the late 2025. And if you were smart, you increased the goal.
We absolutely did.
And what is the new goal?
We're going for 250.
250,000. So there's still time to give. What's your website, just in case they want to go?
SpadyMuseum.com.
SpadyMuseum.com. It doesn't get any simpler. So if you want to throw some money at that historical building and amazing programming, that's where you head.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I really enjoyed our last conversation. We could have talked for 3 hours, and it was a long one, so it was probably already an hour when we talked.
Okay.
I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I think I've picked up a few points to discuss that we didn't have time to touch on last time.
Okay.
So I'd like to start with programming because I think that's important for people to hear about. Why don't you start with the most recent thing that I attended? And I think the most recent activity, there's only been 2 or 3 days since it happened, so we can probably punch on it.
Yes.
The Juneteenth celebration at the Old School Square Historic Fieldhouse Gymnasium. Talk about that.
Juneteenth. So we've been celebrating Juneteenth here in Delray since 2010.
Okay.
It is a line in the sand that we use to celebrate the emancipation of people who were enslaved in chattel slavery here in the U.S. There are different types of slavery. Chattel slavery was what the U.S. practiced for 200 plus years.
What does that mean?
That means that a person who is enslaved is considered chattel. They are not human. They are owned completely, and they are never free.
Okay.
They can't work off anything. They are never free. They are passed down in people's wills to their children to
Like
be
property.
Enslaved forever.
Okay.
And that's the type of slavery that was practiced here in the U.S. Thank you, whomever was responsible. We are no longer suffering under that particular system.
Right.
And I credit all of us, everyone, from President Lincoln, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, all the way down to the Union soldiers and the citizens within our communities who helped to enforce that freedom and who continue to help to enforce that freedom today. So that is not a holiday that is only celebrated by people of African descent, that is a holiday that should be celebrated by all Americans because we all made that happen.
Came
and I'm
together
very proud
to make
of
it
us.
happen. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a big deal. What year was that?
That was 1865.
Okay, 1865.
December 1865.
And so that happened in Texas, am I right?
Okay, so the Juneteenth holiday,
Yes.
June 19th,
Yes.
celebrates Texas's emancipation. However, that was not the end of slavery. There were still 4 states after that held slaves. It wasn't until the 13th Amendment that was ratified in December of 1865 that all people who were enslaved under the chattel slavery system were freed.
160 years.
And make no mistake,
Interesting.
the emancipation story is a process. We're still not done. You know, there are still people who are considered slaves in the U.S.
Correct.
If you are convicted of a felony, you are considered a slave. That's what the 13th Amendment states. So that's a different type of slavery, but it's slavery nonetheless.
Very interesting. I never really thought about it that way, but it makes sense.
So we're not done yet.
No, we're not done yet. We're not even close. And, you know, it's interesting because you hear people talk about why do we still need to be concerned about equity? Because it's been 160 some odd years since emancipation. But if we look at what happened after emancipation, it wasn't all of a sudden everything was okay.
Absolutely.
What happened after emancipation?
Right. Exactly.
So it wasn't until the civil rights movement, I think, which was only 75 years ago, that we started to see things change in our country at when looking at individual rights and seeing that Black and brown people were starting to receive the ability to live. How do I want to say it? Help me say it.
Because what you're realizing or what your brain is telling you is you want to say that we are closer to our goal, but it doesn't feel that way because there are still people in the U.S. and around the world who are working against the progress that we're trying to make here.
Well, and it hasn't been that long since we started. It hasn't been 100 and however many years since Emancipation Day that we've had equal rights. Black and brown people did not have equal rights after Emancipation Day.
Correct.
So
And
it's been a very short time in a cycle of a ingrained culture in the U.S.
True. And today we are finding that there are groups of people who are trying to take us back to the period where Black and brown people no longer have equal rights.
Right.
So
Scary stuff.
We're working, we're pushing, and when I say we, the Americans who believe in equal rights, we are still working toward that goal. But there are some Americans and people from other countries as well who do not believe in it, and they are working against that goal.
And I think that's one of the reasons why cultural institutions, museums in particular, are so important in making sure that we're telling these stories, like the Juneteenth story.
Right.
It's a really powerful thing.
It is. And the way we tell it is important. First of all, we have to have the facts correct.
Right.
And we missed the mark when Juneteenth was established. There's a lot of narrative around emancipation that is just wrong. And so as a museum or as an historical organization, and in our case, whose mission is to preserve the history and share it, we have to make sure we're preserving the correct story and share it correctly, because words are so important. One wrong word, when you throw last, when you're talking about Juneteenth and the enslaved, you have misspoken. You have given incorrect information.
Correct.
So we have to be careful, but we have to be deliberate about preserving that correct story and sharing it. And the way we have to share it is the facts only. Just the facts, ma'am.
That's right.
When I talk to you about the Civil War,
Right.
and this is what I keep telling people defines Black history. Think of the Civil War as we learned it in school. We learned a certain Civil War story. The Civil War story that we are sharing around Juneteenth is the same history. The Civil War was the Civil War. There weren't two. It's the same events that took place on the same dates and in the same places.
Right.
But when I put that story together around emancipation, you begin to understand what the effects and the outcomes were for people of African descent during that time. That's what defines Black history. It's not a whole different story. It's
Right.
American history.
Right.
But it's the way it affected people of African descent. So when we tell that story, we tell it to clearly define what the outcomes were for people of African descent in the U.S.
Super important. I think that it's really important to have all perspectives.
It
you
is.
know, you can hear somebody say the truth. There's person A's truth and there's person B's truth, and the
And then
real truth
there's
is somewhere in the middle.
Correct.
And if you don't have all the perspectives related to the thing you're teaching, then you can't be telling factual information.
That's correct. And, you know, I think a lot about those sayings, quote unquote. And in that case, there's person A's truth, and person A's truth is real.
Right. Right.
It's not an untruth.
Right.
Person B's truth is true.
Right.
That's in the middle may be the story that we are sharing with our children, but you're not giving your children the benefit of the perspective of person A or of person B. And I don't think that's the way it should be done.
No.
I think that every story that we tell should be associated with people. And now I'm going to get back up on my soapbox about
Okay, go ahead. I'm
people.
ready.
We have a tendency to call groups of people Blacks
Right.
and whites
Right.
and Jews,
Right.
right? We're removing the humanity. Black what? Jewish what? We're talking about people.
People.
And we always have to associate our stories with people. You
Right.
can't tell a story that doesn't have anything to do with people. Everything that has ever happened has, to us anyway, has happened as a result of the actions of a person.
Well, if you think about telling the story of anything, any piece of history, whether it's related to Black history, to Black people, because it's American history, if it's in our country, think of any war in the last 3 decades.
Right.
If you can talk about who shot what missile, who shot how many people, but if you don't look at what happened to the culture surrounding the people where the war was occurring on all sides,
Exactly.
then, and you want to hear everybody's side. You want to
Exactly.
hear the U.S. soldiers versus the Iranian soldiers versus the Israeli soldiers versus the Palestinian soldiers. You want to hear the whole story.
You want to hear the whole story.
Or you haven't understood for yourself what that war meant.
Exactly. And you're making decisions based on one story only, and your thought process is incomplete. There's an old saying,
Okay.
it's an African proverb,
Okay.
until the lions have their historian, the tale of the hunt will continue to glorify the hunter.
Right. Right. And isn't it the truth?
It's so true.
If you're not represented
Correct.
in the stories that we share with our children
Right.
or the community,
Right.
then you're just not being represented. You're only focusing on whoever else plays a part in that story.
And when that happens, it's easy to dismiss you and minimize you as not important.
I so love being involved with arts and culture because I think that when you do events that present the artist that, and I forget her name, but I bought a piece of her basket weaving with sweetgrass,
Mary
right?
Graham Grant.
Okay, so Ms. Grant was there, and it was a really cool experience to see the work that she'd done artistically and that she'd committed to this long time. I wanted to say centuries, but I don't know how long the Gullah Geechee culture existed, but it's a long time story. And you're wearing a necklace that is part of that sweetgrass weaving, if you will. And I made one. It doesn't look nearly as pretty as that one does, but it was a really cool thing to sit in that. It took about 30 or 45 minutes to make this piece and get assistance throughout. And there were a lot of people doing it. But while I'm doing that, I'm sort of sitting in the thought of the cultural connections I'm making.
Correct.
And I think arts and culture museums are a great way to do that because it takes away the fear of a purely political conversation or historical conversation. It puts it in terms of people and sharing stories.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that allows a safe space for us to do that.
Absolutely. So just for some information, the Gullah Geechee culture, which has been preserved by the descendants of enslaved Africans from the West Coast, it has been recognized by the United States as a distinct culture, and they deliberately and carefully preserve their basket sewing, not weaving, by the way,
sewing,
their speech patterns, their cooking ways. There's all kinds of cultural heritage that had been passed down, and they are very careful to preserve that heritage. It comes from their West African parentage. These are people who were brought directly to the U.S. from the coast of Africa during the enslavement period. So sitting there sewing a basket or sewing a medallion, you can also imagine yourself connecting with centuries and centuries of men initially, and then women who made these pieces for daily life, for daily use.
Right.
And imagine them using them to, harvest rice and other crops. You can leave here just for momentarily and connect with the culture of a people that you've never met, but who, were it not for them, you would not be here.
Right. It's pretty amazing, really.
It really is.
It was I wasn't going to do it because I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit there for that long. I've got ADHD. I am so glad that I did.
Yes.
I was so moved by the experience. And I see that at Arts Garage a lot too. I see it at your Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast. Talk about that celebration. Yes. You've been doing that for a long time.
We have. It was established with our very first executive director of the Spady Museum. Her name was Elaine Woods.
Okay.
Dr. King obviously had a huge impact on the United States and who we are and where we are today, right? So it makes sense to honor the work that he did. But what I hope for our event, as I do for all of our events, is not just to celebrate the person, the culture, and the effects that it had on us, but to commemorate the life of those people. My mother used to tell me, do not put a person in their place until you put yourself in their place. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think we should, as a people, try to put ourselves in the position of these people that we're commemorating, or whose culture we're celebrating, or whose freedom, emancipation brought for them. We should put ourselves in their place. Imagine, if we can, and it's very difficult in a lot of cases, what they were going through. Could we do what they did? Are we doing what they did? And if we are we successful? Are we on the right path? If we can't do what they did, should we try? Or do we just dismiss them as not having done anything at all?
Right.
Right?
Well, and I'm interrupting. Let me just say that for me, part of that celebration or commemoration is also about the movement that they became icons of.
Yes.
So to me, that's an important part of what you do.
Yes. And one of the things that as a historical organization we have to do is make sure that what everyone thinks is the movement that they became part of is correct. Because,
fact-based.
we take things like this and we run down the road with them, and the next thing you know, it's like playing telephone.
The
next
telephone
thing you know,
game, yep.
It isn't even close to what it actually was.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we're getting that information out there correctly. But we also want to try to, and we all do this, evaluate whether or not we think what they did was important and the way they went about it was important. And either we're going to, because history is going to repeat itself. This is the other thing I want to say.
For sure.
People always say we need to know our history so it doesn't repeat. Oh, it's going to repeat.
Yes, it will.
Make no mistake. It's going to repeat. But if we study that history, we understand what others did when it happened, and then we make our decisions on what we're going to do when it happens. So we're studying, we're commemorating, we're remembering Dr. King and all the work that he did. And we're deciding, did he do it the right way? Was there something that I would change if I were him? What is that? And go ahead and make that change.
Right. Well, and that telephone game is viral in social media because people make a statement on social media and the world assumes that that is the truth. All of our politicians on either side of the fence, you can't just listen to what they say. There are organizations that's sole role is to fact check political speeches. So you have to really, the fact portion of what you're talking about when we're telling histories, when we're telling the story of our shared history, it's super important that we capture the facts.
Absolutely. It's vital that we can.
It's
and you know what?
Completely vital.
That is another reason why organizations such as ours that preserve collections are so important.
For sure.
What's going to happen when someone comes to you with a picture of Solomon Spady and it looks nothing like Solomon Spady? How do you find out what Solomon Spady actually looked like? You have to go to the source.
Correct.
Source materials are more critical than ever in the evolution of our country.
Right.
Because there are so many different incorrect narratives and places that you can go to get information. And pretty soon people are not going to even concern themselves with knowing what's true.
Right.
They're just going to take what they get and run with it.
Well, money has changed everything because television media, radio, newspapers, if they are for profit, then if you're going to believe that source, you better know who owns that newspaper or radio station or whatever. Otherwise, their storytelling is going to be slanted a certain way.
As it always is. We are human after all.
That's right, we are. Yeah, very interesting. So I want to talk about the bus tour that you do.
Okay.
That I tried to get on with a friend last time and it was full and sold out.
Okay.
So I need to know when it reopens so I can get in there quickly. I don't want to miss it next time. Talk about what you do with the bus tour. And that's specific to Delray, I believe.
It is specific to Delray. And it's very popular. And I think I know why, but, sometimes you don't know what you think you know. I just take people through the 5 historic districts of Delray.
Okay.
Historic preservation is near and dear to the Spady Museum's heart and mission. And as a representative of the Spady Museum, I am proud of Delray Beach and the work we have done to preserve our built environment and our stories. And I want to share that with people. And so I take them through the 5 historic districts. I got my information from the Historic Planning Department of the city. We talk about architectural styles. We talk about the people who lived in those areas in the earlier days and who lives there now. It's always about the people. And I mix in some of my personal experiences. I think that's what
really
people
cool.
like.
That's really cool.
People really like. because I grew up here in Delray. And so sometimes I have a personal experience with some structure or other, and I toss it in there, and people, I think they just like to laugh at me.
No, I think it touches them when you make it personal, because they want to identify with something that hooks them, you know?
And history is personal.
It is personal.
History is personal for all of us.
For sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. So, I mean, honestly, if you go on the Spady website, you can find a lot of events every year. I don't want to say how many, but I'm gonna say dozens of events each year, maybe 100 events a year. I don't know how many you do, but a lot of events. And I want to slide us gradually into talking about, what did you call them, the next generation of archivists. Mm-hmm. But could you start by just talking a little bit about the youth book club that you do, and then talk about why you're trying to engage young people and what the value in that is? Mm-hmm.
So it's a study program.
Okay.
We have an arm for the youth that is taught by professional Palm Beach County teachers, and one for the adults that is taught by a university professor.
Okay.
And like I said, we share historical facts.
Okay.
But then we discuss those facts, and we try to juxtapose what took place in history with what's going on now. And we try to get our youth to see if they can compare what they just learned that took place centuries ago with anything that might be happening now. Do you see any similarities? Is it all different? One of the first, we're going into our third year with this program.
Okay.
The first year, one of the class ended for the students, and it's middle and high school aged youth. They don't like me to call them children. And one little boy was leaving the classroom, and I said, "What did you learn today?" And he told me, and I said, "Does any of that you learned today relate to you?" He said, "No." That's what happened to those people a long time ago.
Okay.
And at that point, I realized, okay, so what I need to do is help our youth see the similarities in historical events, because they won't be able to learn from them and take that information and make a decision as to how they're going to conduct themselves now, unless they can see the parallels.
Well, problem solving requires synthesizing the information you're receiving.
Right.
So if you can't learn something new and then apply it to something else, you've kind of missed the mark.
Right. Exactly.
And you have to lead young people.
You absolutely have to.
There.
And until they get it.
Until they get it.
And then as soon as they get it, you can see it in their faces.
Yes.
And as you're talking, they can say, "Oh, just like."
Yep.
And then you're like, "Oh, they got it."
For sure.
Success.
I used to do this thing. I taught high school English for many years and was a principal in schools, and kept my foot in teaching during the time I was working with young people. And I would teach poetry. And I'd want to teach something from Langston Hughes or even, I'm trying to think of another white poet, like very historical language, even if you look at Shakespeare, right? And what I would do is print the lyrics for a Tupac or Biggie Small song or any other modern song they were listening to, right? And I'd have them look at that and not give it away. I'd try to pick something a little less popular, so it was a little more obscure. And then they'd read it and they identified with it and they understood it. And I said, "Now that's poetry."
Right.
So now you just analyze this piece. You know what that artist was trying to say, according to you.
Right.
And then we'd look at the older stuff, and it was much less intimidating when they did that.
Yes.
So if you can help them walk across that bridge, I think it makes a big difference.
And that's what we're doing with our program.
I think that's really cool.
Yes.
So why is that so important? Slide, if you will, into the next generation. What does the cultural movement, your museum or museums in general, or Black history museums specifically, what do you need with young people?
There are quite a few young people in my world, in my orbit, who are interested in history.
Okay.
They get in there and they're looking around for, how can I use this? They don't understand quite how they can be successful in this industry.
Right.
So what I want to do is to share with them what we do at the Spady Museum and the different functions that all go into preserving history, from programming to the financials, to the marketing and advertising. We're a nonprofit,
but you're a business.
It's a business. But you can take your history degree and work in any museum you'd like to, in any field that you like to.
Right.
And so that's some of what I'm doing. Young people, you really just have to, they haven't experienced. You have to open things up for them. You have to open up the book and show them all the possibilities for them to be able to start to trust that there's something here for me. Because there's a lot of young people who are interested in history, but they feel like what they should do is learn it. Yes, they absolutely should learn it, but they can also apply it.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to help them understand. So we have a lot of interns that come through the museum, and I love my interns, every one of them. And we couldn't run the museum without them. But I'm constantly showing them do different things. Feeling them out to see what their true interest is. Because when they're in high school and then they're in college, they still don't even know.
Often they don't. You're right.
They don't know. So I show them as much about everything that I can while they're with us, so that it can help them to make a decision on what they're going to do with history.
It'll light a fire somewhere. It'll connect something for them.
Yes.
Well, and so I think one of the interesting pieces about the Spady's history is that your mom ran it for I don't know how many years. And then you took over in 2012, and now we're in 2026, 14 years later.
And my boys have no interest whatsoever.
So it's not going to be a family-run business after you finish.
No.
And eventually, everyone would like to actually retire. I imagine that you would, and I would too. So how do you pass it on without growing the next generation of archivists, of historians, of storytellers, right?
And believe me, that's what I'm trying to do now. I am going to the conferences, and I am joining the associations, and I am affiliating with the universities, and I am talking to colleagues on a constant basis, attempting to make people aware that there is an opportunity in Delray Beach. It's not an immediate opportunity. However, it will open up relatively soon, and that they should consider what they'd like to do, if they would like to be involved.
Right.
Because I really have been working this past 10 years to try to ensure that the museum will go on after I'm there, once I've left. Because I don't think there is anything more important than the preservation of our historical structures and artifacts, papers, documentation.
Agreed.
Those things that prove the narratives that we share, the stories that we share here in Delray.
Right. Yeah, sustainability of our organizations is super important, and it's very, very important in your organization that it's a different type of organization than mine. It would be easier to find someone to replace me for programming or management of a cultural institution, of an arts and visual and performing arts center, right? That's an easier fit. It's not as easy to find a passionate person who can make the stories live the way that you and your team do.
True. But I want to back up to what you just said about it. It would be easier to replace you in your organization. I believe that there are people like you and I who have a passion for the work that we do, and we bring a level of kinetic energy, for lack of a better term,
I would agree with that,
to our workplaces. And I think that we achieve what we achieve through our workplaces because of the energy we bring.
I
Yes,
agree.
you can definitely go to a business school and get an MBA and put them in our organizations, and they would be able to run it successfully. But would it be the same place?
Won't be.
The people with the passion need to be in the mix. They don't necessarily need to be in my seat or your seat, but they need to be in the mix in order for the entity, the organization, to have that spark that it needs to be as important as our organizations are in our community.
Agreed. There has to be some way for them to hook into the passion behind the work that we do.
Exactly.
Everybody can be replaced.
Absolutely.
And anybody can do the business side.
Exactly.
And in your case, anybody skilled in the telling of history could do the work.
Absolutely.
Anybody in my case who's aware of musical genres and the arts in general could program the stage.
Right.
But will there be the passion behind what they do that's made you and I work so hard all these years?
And the love of the community that we live in.
Correct.
There is no better place on earth to live, in my opinion, and that's all I can give you, than Delray Beach.
It's been a ride for me that's been very beautiful. It really has. I moved in 99 and you grew up here. You saw a significant change. I've seen pretty significant change since 1999.
And
but
nothing makes you appreciate a place more than to see it change from what may not have been the best kind of a scenario for people to live in and grow up in to a beautiful place.
Yeah, for sure.
Because who makes the change? People.
We all do.
People.
Yeah, by our contributions to the community.
That's right. And without the people who live in Delray Beach would just be any place USA.
You're right. You're right. It makes it a very special place to raise a family. I raised my family. You raised your family here.
Right.
You know, I think it makes it a very special place to do that. And both of my kids have very strong feelings about their roots here.
Absolutely.
And I like that. Although they won't go downtown with me anymore because I know everybody.
My son says the same thing.
It's we have to stop and talk to too many people.
Okay.
Let's go west.
And
let's don't go downtown.
Why I love my town.
Me too. I like that I know everybody.
Me too.
It feels that way. Anyway, I always joke that when I go to a city commission meeting, it feels like I'm going to a family reunion because there's so many people I've known for so long.
Yes, absolutely.
I like that I've known people for that long. Those are true roots.
Right. And you have a true community when you can go into a room and you can get mad at people. They say stuff that you don't want them to say.
Yes.
And you get mad and then you get over it and then you hug and then you go home.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. It's family. It's family of choice, right? And that's what makes a real community thrive, I think, when you see each other that way. Okay, so challenges in the work. You want to talk about it?
Sure.
What are your challenges?
There are many.
Okay.
My number one challenge is funding.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, first let me say I am so very grateful to the people who financially support the Spady Museum.
Agreed.
I can't tell you, you know that we would not be there were it not for you who support us financially. Thank you. Thank you. I am a firm believer that you don't know a person based on what they say. You know a person based on what they do. And for you to come to me and tell me how much you support me, I really appreciate that. But unless I see some action that goes with that,
it's just words.
You just gave me some words. And I still don't know that you support me.
Showing up is the only way you can support in whatever way, whether it's financially or to programming or whatever. speaking out in the community.
positively.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And until I see that, I still don't know that you support me. So my challenge is to convince people, and I think that there are people who just don't understand that.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
they think that they just basically have to let me know I'm in your corner, I got you, I support you.
Right. And that's enough.
And I appreciate that,
Nice to know.
but you gotta give me something.
Yep.
And that's a challenge for me. Convincing people that action is what convinces me of support. I need support.
In almost every area at this point.
Anything and everything you can do. That's what I need. That's what I need. People to do. That's my challenge.
Yeah, you've got a very small team, and you execute so much. Like I was sitting there looking at the Juneteenth event, and the whole historic gymnasium was full of people and vendors. And
it's important to note that Kenya Madison pulled that whole thing together.
Did she really?
She did. She pulled that whole thing together. She's super girl.
No, she's very connected in the community. She's in the trenches is what I mean by that. She knows everybody and connected in that way, but she's also doing the work. She's actively doing the work.
She is. And she knows the importance of human connection, people to people.
For sure.
And you can tell that when you just have 5 minutes of conversation with Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another person who's incredibly passionate about the work and has been doing it a long time now.
Yes.
So she's built it into something very beautiful, I think.
She really has. She really has.
Yeah, that's impressive.
She's a Delray Beach jewel.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed. Okay. So actions for anyone listening that they could take to support the Spady.
Obviously, financial contribution, absolutely. Attending, whatever is of interest to you. Not everything is interesting to everybody. But if there's something of interest, attend. If you can't attend, share the invitation with someone else that you think might be interested in attending. When you are speaking to people
about cool things to do in Delray Beach,
mention the Spady Museum.
Yeah, I think that if you asked any nonprofit, and specifically arts and cultural nonprofit, I think we'd all say the same thing. Word of mouth is everything.
It is. That's what drives almost all of our visitation.
It's one of the things we look for in our board. Are you going to bring people to the shows with you? Are you going to tell people about the organization?
Exactly.
That's how you spread the word.
That's what works.
And that generates support and generates outcomes that allow you to sustain the organization.
Absolutely.
I think what a lot of people don't know is when you receive grant funding, one of the things you look at is metrics of the success or outcomes that would prove the success of your events. How many people attended? How much money did you raise during that event? And many other how many vendors did you utilize who received some kind of kickback through the event because they were getting they were making sales of their products during the event.
Right.
I think that's something people forget. And it really is helpful when you can grow the numbers who help you tell the story, who help make sure you're visible and can grow your programming.
And one other metric that is important to the Spady Museum as a history organization is repeat visits. Everybody who comes to the Spady Museum gets a personal tour and has a personal conversation with a staff person. Every single person who walks through the door. So we're not going to get 1,000 people through our door in a week.
Right.
But every single one who comes in there is going to get a personal conversation.
And they'll probably come back, right?
When they come back, that is the most important number for us to check.
Yeah.
Because that means they want more.
Yeah. And they're likely to bring somebody with them when they come back.
Yes.
So which grows your support level too.
That's what
and
we
awareness.
pay attention to.
Yeah.
When people come back.
So what are and we're kind of at our time, I think. So what we really, unless there's something else you want to talk about, I want to talk about what your aspirations are for the Spady, let's say in the next 5 years? What would you like to see the Spady become or take on or grow into?
We've got a very interesting program that we are working up. I'm not going to say much about it now.
Okay.
But it is very near and dear to my heart and to the hearts of those who are my age.
Okay.
I would love to see that program get off the ground and running, because it is such a unique use of the resources that a museum like the Spady Museum has. And it is so critical for people of our time, our generation. And it has the potential to touch multiple generations after I'm gone.
Okay, so SpadyMuseum.com, get on their their e-blasts, their newsletters.
Yes.
So that you can find out about what this program is when she's ready to reveal.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear. I know I've seen recently a slew of videos of people from the community talking about their experience here. Thought that was a very cool project too. So I'm very curious to hear what you've got under your hat. So you'll have to keep me posted.
You will love it.
Keep me posted.
Outside of that, if we can get that program off the ground, we will have 2 major educational programs going. And with our bus tours and our lectures, you're right, we have so much going on.
You have a lot of things happening.
We really do have a lot of things going on. And we have made sure that our programs run in as streamlined a manner as possible. So when we are seeking sponsors and funders, when we give a dollar amount, that is the tightest budget for that program ever existed.
Right.
And as you can see, we're still a staff of 3.
Yeah,
we
it's
have
crazy what you
part-time
accomplish.
archivist and a marketing team, and that's it. So yeah, we want to maintain our programming and keep that structure open for people to come through and see, to feel Mr. Spady's spirit as they walk through the door.
Right.
I do believe Mr. Spady is pleased with what we're doing.
Doesn't that make you happy? Doesn't that make you happy?
He once lived in, yes. And then if I can find someone who's willing to step into the leadership role,
that would be magic.
I would be a happy camper.
That would be magic.
Then I'm going to Disney World.
Yeah, then you're going to Disney World like all the champs do. Yeah, no, 5 years is my goal for that too. A lot of other things to make sure that I can feel that the 15 years that we've been around Arts Garage and the 10 that I've been there, that is sustainable, that we can make sure we live through it all and continue to serve our community and surrounding communities.
Yep.
That's really important to me, but also to leave somebody in my spot. In 5 years, I should be training someone, if not being replaced by someone. So I hope for our organization, very similar things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any other really big thing you want to tell us about or that we didn't cover in this conversation?
What are you hinting at? It seems like you know something you want me to say.
Nothing I can think of. I want to give space in the room because I wrote these questions. So I guided you. Is there anything I didn't touch on that you want to make sure we cover? Or you feel like we covered a bunch?
We covered a bunch. I don't have any other secrets up my sleeve.
Yeah. No, we talked a lot in the first episode too, in a different way about what happens at the Spady and the importance of having the Spady. So I like that we've got the other bookend for that. And I imagine that after your new project is announced, maybe we could do it again and talk about it, the meaning of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I'm really grateful, Charlene. Thank you so much for doing another one of these with me.
Thanks so much for inviting me. I always enjoy talking to you, Marjorie.
The same here. Yeah. The same here. I love you very much and love partnering with you and supporting you. So I hope that, one, if you have never been to the Spady Cultural Heritage Museum, that you go to SpadyMuseum.com and check out their offerings and just go take a look at that old house. It's a beautiful, beautiful historic home that Charlene and her team are doing a great job, and the city are doing a great job of maintaining. So I hope you will check out what they have to offer and consider supporting them, even if it's just by coming to visit. For the podcast, I really am grateful that you listened or watched, and I hope that you will like or subscribe or comment on the episode or on the podcast in general. If you have an idea for a guest or a topic, I'd love to hear from you. Just email me at info@artsgarage.org and I'll get the information. Put Culture Under Fire in the subject line. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.